Hello, everybody out there at radio, TV, and internet and YouTube land. I'm Alex Habersham, the host of A Call to Action, and I want to welcome you to the show. And I am so excited today. So I'm going to kind of wear two hats. I'm going to be the interviewer and the interviewee. And, it's so special to me to be able, not only to be the interviewee, but to have somebody who's phenomenally qualified, to interview me. And I'm just so happy, but what I really should do, I'm gonna take the first couple of minutes of this interview to talk about her. That's none other than Miss Amber Jones, who has, of course, you all know that she's had a lot of experience because she's been on TV, blah, blah, blah. And she's such a phenomenal young lady. Went from being a TV host and working in jobs to getting her JD. She is now an attorney. And the reason I felt like it would not be robbery to spend a few minutes just to talk about her, because she sets the example of what we want to see our young people do. How education and determination and persistence and networking and being involved, the kind of role that it plays in the success of everybody, but particularly our young people. So I think that she is a model, frankly, of something that we can use to motivate our young people. Because if Amber did it, and if Ajor did it, and I know Tim and Roberta think it's all because of them, and they played a major role. But be that as it may, I'm happy to have Miss Amber Jones to serve as the interviewer today. And, she wants to talk to me about, the new Black pages and a little bit about me and community activities and whatever. I don't have to tell her what to do because she has had so much experience doing this. This is a call to action. I'm your host, who also is going to be the interviewee for today's show, Alex Habersham, and I now turn it over to Miss Amber Jones. Amber, talk a little bit more about yourself before we enter into the interview.
Well, Mr. Habersham, I want to thank you so much for having me as a guest here on A Call to Action. It's always a great opportunity and a fun time to chat with you. It feels so natural. I don't feel any pressure. And I think what you're doing in the community is super awesome. Making Middle Georgia Black pages is pivotal for our community. And I love Macon so much in the surrounding areas. And I am in awe of the words you had to say about me because, God gives us these gifts and we have to use them for them to work. Just hoping and praying for things isn't good enough, right? You have to put in the work and have faith and be diligent. And so I appreciate you for always being in my corner. And it's awesome to be able to look at someone like you that's so innovative and progressive before it was cool and popular to be innovative and progressive as it relates to Black people. And I use Black because I used to say African American, but I identify myself more as a Black person, And so it's very nice to see what the Black Pages does to unify our community and give resources to people, and also an opportunity for people of all colors to advertise for the betterment of our community. So I really do appreciate you for having me here. And you asked me to say a little bit more about myself, but I think you said enough. I feel like sometimes what you do is a testament enough that you don't have to list out all your accolades, because in these days and times, as an African-American woman that is professional or a Black woman that's professional, it's not a choice to not get credentials and be involved in programs and be well trained, because the competition there is just that. I mean, you have to have a little bit more and be a little bit more prepared. And in 2021, that still reigns true.
Absolutely.
So again, I just appreciate you so much for allowing me to come and interview you, the master of interviews. I was sharing with my boyfriend this morning that my stomach was a little bit in knots, because what do you do when you interview the best person? I do this time and time again, but when it's somebody you admire and look up to, it's just a different situation.
Thank you very much. You the interviewer.
All right, so let's jump into it. Of course, we're going to talk today about the 2021-2022 release of the Middle Georgia or Macon Middle Georgia Black pages, but I want to talk a little bit about you. There's a lot of reasons why I admire you, primarily that Tiger Pride Savannah State relationship, right? But tell me a little bit about your background and lead into what inspired you to get something as pivotal as the Black pages started in Macon-Bibb and the surrounding areas.
Well, I grew up in the public housing of Macon, Georgia, Tyndall Heights, and I went to Ballard Hudson High School. And it's interesting, and you know, there's a saying that everybody has a button. And then I'm saying this for parents and for individuals, that sometimes your button will appear naturally in your activity and your thinking. So when I was in high school, I did, you know, I was in 5 different productions, 5 different plays, but I also was the editor for the newspaper. And I never will forget that that the topic of my little editorial in that newspaper, like that we as African Americans must lift ourselves up by our own bootstraps. So even early on when I was a teenager, I felt like that we had a lot of resources from which we could benefit, kind of like what you said, if we could apply them. So that's kind of drove me. And, you know, ever since I started several different organizations throughout the years. I started the Bird City Energetics, the Young Adults for Black Unification, the Association of Political, Social, and Economic Progress, the Adopt a Role Model Program, the Macon Middle Georgia Black Pages. I've just been involved in the community, and it was natural. So I enjoy people. I enjoy being involved in the community. And additionally, you know, I recognize and realize the importance of self-help. And it really bothers me, you know, when sometimes we try to blame other people and other entities in our community for our shortcomings, when we don't begin to utilize our own resources and do enough for ourselves. Consequently, you know, we started the Macon Middle Georgia Black Pages, which is to serve as a resource for individuals to use, both Black and white, but particularly Black folk, to say, hey, I can contribute to the development of my own community by supporting my community by, let me say this very quickly, Amber. You know, in most communities, the dollar circulates 7 or 8 times, but in our community, it circulates about 6 hours. You know, it says now, boom. You know what I'm saying? Where we spend all that money, $3.5 billion a year that comes through Central Georgia that African Americans spend, but we just, boom, send it out into the community. So what we try to do is encourage, educate, and motivate people. Say, hey, you know, let's use some self-help. You know, like if I wanted to go and get some vitamins, then I go to One Wellness, a Scott Pharmacy. So there are several ways that we can make a contribution to our own self-development. Volunteer in the community. You know, go to the schools and read to people. Whenever possible and practical, spend your money with somebody who looks like you. And let me quickly say, since this is going public, Amber, this is not separatism. You know, so I don't want anybody calling me, talking about I'm trying to be separatist. I'm not. You know, anybody who knows me knows that I believe in the entire community. And, you know, there's an old saying that the rising tide raises the whole ship. So if we can get these communities to do better, and if we could utilize more of these resources that we have ourselves to kind of uplift ourselves, then everybody benefits. We would have more African Americans volunteering. We would have them contributing to nonprofits. So it's win-win for everybody. So out of my concern, to finally answer your question, for the community, out of my belief in self-help, out of my knowing that there are several things, I don't, look, Amber, my favorite saying is that excuses come out of trash cans. We don't need to make excuses, don't just stand there, do something. So it's my belief that, if we try to uplift ourselves and motivate ourselves and utilize what resources we have to improve our own community, to volunteer, to mentor, then it will uplift the African American community, which in turn will uplift the entire community. A rising tide raises the whole ship.
You talked about your favorite saying. Mine is one from Martin Luther King, and it's, "Our nettlesome task is to turn our strengths into compelling power," which goes right along with what you're saying. Like, it's got to be something about like what you can do well and what you have the power to do. It doesn't take a whole lot of people and organizing and ideas to do something small, like go read to a school or volunteer your time or spend money with businesses or funnel your money to a specific place. And what I love the most about the Black Pages is it gives you a resource for that. I was taking a look at the new release of the book, and I saw where there's a digital aspect to it. Can you talk a little bit about where that idea came from and how the innovation happened and what that process looked like for you and your team?
Well, you got to be up to snuff, as the old folk would say. You got to follow the trends and the traditions because, you got to be innovative, if in fact you want to succeed in today's age, and everything is just so electronic. Everything is so digital. So we realize, and we've got an app, Black Pages app, we of course have a website, and Macon, www.maconblackpages.com. So we want everybody to have access to the book. Of course, we printed several thousand books physically, but by the same token, there's an app, that you can get, a Macon Black Pages app that you can get off of Google Play and download it, and then you have immediate access to it. Or you can go to the website, and there is a digital version of the whole book. Or you can go to the website and search for a particular category of business. Like if you needed somebody, like I'm sure you went to I don't believe you looked that good by yourself without having gone to a beautician, but maybe you did. But
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. So if you need a beautician, a barber, a dentist, a physician, a grocery store, a pharmacist, just by category, practically everything that you would need. And then there is an index in the front of the book, so you can find the page you can go to now. It's available electronically and it's searchable. So, I mean, it does not take a whole lot of time if you're looking for a beautician to have hair like, to look like Miss Jones looking this morning with her hair all laid. And she told me before we began this interview that she just found joy this morning and dressing up and looking good. And she, let me just say, mission accomplished. And so that's what we try to do. We try to make it easy and because let me tell you something. I'm gonna say it again. Excuses come out of trash cans. So we try to anticipate and eliminate excuses. So, we've got to and let me mention quickly, it just came to my mind, vote. We got to vote too.
Yeah.
I don't want to have this conversation without emphasizing, and I know for Nico Miller will love this, without emphasizing, the importance of voting. So we try to make it available physically, we try to make it where they can download the app on their phone. We got a website. You can go to www.maconblackpages, but it does not help to have all of this information and resources available if people don't utilize. Additionally, we've got an electronic marketing service. We send out emails on what's going on in the community. You can go to the Black pages and subscribe to that. We just need to be familiar. We're either a part of the problem or a part of the solution. So what I'm saying, we all can be a part of the solution and make this a better community for everybody.
Mr. Habersham, you
Yes.
told me something special you guys did this time around, and I think it's very interesting. Talk about how you have separated the book out by county and city, and how people can utilize that.
Well, it's very, very important. Oftentimes we overlook, the importance of regionalism. Oftentimes we have not given enough credit to the contiguous and the surrounding counties like Peach and Twiggs and Wilkerson and like Baldwin and Crawford and Monroe, and of course, Houston. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to categorize the book this year. So a person who wanted to find, since we on beauticians, a person who wanted to find a beautician in Warner Robins could go to the Houston County section of the book. Then we have all those businesses listed by category in all of those counties. Additionally, if a person is interested in some of the statistics, how many Black folks live in there, the income, how many folks married, and that kind. We also got a demographic page at the beginning of each section. So we just felt like, our neighbors, we got Black folks throughout Central Georgia, not just in Macon. So I wanted to kind of re-emphasize and categorize, if you please, the African-American businesses in their respective counties.
And I think that's an awesome resource for people that might even not be from the area. When people move here, I think it's important for them to know wherever they live, they have resources, because moving is so hard. And something as simple as getting your hair done is problematic, okay, when you move to a new place. And so I just think that's super resourceful. Another initiative that you've done in the past, and I just want to hear about why you've done this, because I think it's brilliant, where you highlight young professionals and young entrepreneurs and nonprofit organizations, and also members of organizations that are doing an amazing job as far as the Divine Nine goes and other organizations. What motivates you to do those kind of things? And can we look for something like that in the coming years?
Well, because, it bothers me, frankly. You got to be a part of the solution. And one way you can be a part of the solution is to have information. And there are so many good things that are going on. And what I try to do with the Black Pages annually, it's not just about the businesses, and it's not just about identifying the business element, which is very important. But there's also an editorial section. So it's got kind of like a magazine effect, like what we do, like you said, we've identified the nonprofit, we've identified women in business, we've identified, the role that the fraternities and the sororities are playing in our community. We've identified downtown buildings, we've identified Blacks in business downtown. So we are constantly trying to expose all of the good things and the good people and the good activities and all of the remarkable initiatives that are going on. And the reason I do it, because if in fact, an informed people is a motivated people, and informed people is an active people. So, when I teach in the prison system sometimes, and young people. So what I ask them, and some of them get it, most of them don't, I said, what is the tool that you use to think with? And I tell them that it's not, a physical tool. And then they said the brain. I said, that's physical. You know what I'm saying? They said knowledge, I said, well, that's part of it. Well, the tool that you use to think with and the tool that you use to determine what action you should take is information. That's the tool. So the more information you have, the more capable you are of making good decisions and being familiar and being involved, etc. So that's why I do it. I just try to, first of all, highlight those people like yourself, who are doing great things. And, they deserve the recognition, although they're not necessarily seeking it, like I did with the young entrepreneurs and professionals. They deserve the recognition. But I also try to just provide different nonprofits and activities going on in the community. And everybody needs to subscribe. I'm going to do a project where I'm going to try to get 25,000 emails. So if you look, go to maconblackpages.com and subscribe to our email list. So that's why I do it, Amber, because I know that we can make a difference. Ourselves, we can lift ourselves up by our own bootstraps. Too often we complain about what other folk are doing, you know what? The first law of communication is work on me first and us second. So if we were to do that, if we were to look inwardly, if you please, flip that phone around and look at yourself rather than taking somebody else's picture, if we were to do that, then I think that we could be greatly motivated and just make a real difference in our community, because we got so much potential, and I don't want it to be potential, I want it to be potential. So we've got so much in Central Georgia, and if we were to come together and join together and utilize resources and help each other and be involved and volunteer and spend our money, then, it would be absolutely phenomenal.
Something you just said reminded me of a song by the great late Michael Jackson. He said, I'm talking to the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. Yeah. Not anybody else, but the man in the mirror. And I think that's super relevant and a timeless kind of quote. And I was just thinking about something. Sometimes people are a little bit critical of the Divine Nine and those fraternal organizations. I want you to talk about why those organizations are important and the role they play here in Middle Georgia for the development of business and culture. I just think it's important to highlight, and you thought it was important to highlight too. So can we talk a little bit about that?
One would be amazed at all of the things that these different Greek organizations do. They are, look, they are service organizations. They are service individuals. Now, one thing I must say is that the Divine Nine, we often overlook it. The Divine Nine has played a critical role in HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? They started early on at HBCUs, and they all do. About 2 or 3 months ago, a group of them got together and did something on COVID. Just this week, on Sunday, we've got a group, since it's mine, I'm not going to say which one it is because, I don't want to be prejudiced here, but they needed some people to volunteer for the Veterans Parade. So I picked up the phone and called one of the groups in the Divine Nine. I got 8 volunteers like that. but they just, like the alphas, the kappas, the sigmas, the omegas, the deltas, the AKAs, the zetas, all of these fine organizations. And then I'm gonna put the cover up to that cover. So if I forgot any of them, then we're gonna show the cover. My producer will do that. But
Sigma Gamma Rho. You forgot Sigma Gamma Rho.
Okay, Sigma Gamma Rho, thank you very much. Because I would hear from them. That's why, and not only as it relates to the divine now, which, is a phenomenon. And then, the other thing that's important quickly is that it's called the divine now because it's several different African-American or Greek organizations that have gotten together and they work together jointly to improve the community. And they've had several very, very important initiatives. So that's why I do it, because I try to highlight those entities and organizations and individuals that are doing good things. And by the same token, I'm trying to motivate more people to do the same thing.
And in that same energy, let's talk about how the different government organizations and local leaders have contributed to making sure that the Middle Georgia Black Pages is a success.
Well, they all support it. They all support it. And the reason they support it is because they know that it's an absolute phenomenal resource. And then the other thing is, and then I wanted to say this very quickly, whatever kind of problem that one may be having, there's a resource available out there. And oftentimes it's a governmental and an organizational resource. So those resources want the community because they are there to serve the community. There again, we need to utilize resources and be involved. And I'm so appreciative of the governmental entities that support what we're doing, because they realize that a rising tide raises the whole ship.
So I'm gonna point the focus back to you a little bit. You have so many community accolades. Why do you feel like it's important to participate in all of these community activities and organizations and volunteer your time?
Because I don't do it for recognition. I do it from motivation.
Well, Mr. Habersham, it's been a delight to be your co-host and interviewer on A Call to Action. Such a meaningful experience, and I look forward to coming back here. This is my first time doing it on a virtual platform. It's the new way of life, but I just want to thank you for everything you do in the community, and I just want to thank you for being a wonderful example for us all to follow.
I don't want to finish this show without thanking you. You have done a phenomenal job. You're talking about inspiration to you. You are absolute inspiration to me. I want you to keep on what you're doing. I know the sky's the limit. And then you can come to the nursing home 30 years from now and say, Mr. Habersham, I've done it. You might be the president or the secretary of state or the attorney general or something. But thank you. Keep on doing what you're doing. I'm so appreciative for everything you're doing. I really appreciate you. You did a phenomenal job on this interview. This is A Call to Action. I'm your host, Alex Habersham, having been interviewed by Miss Amber Jones, JD, passed the ball, and I'm so proud of you. Thank you very much. And those of you who want more information about what we're talking about, as it relates to the book and the website and the community activities and the surrounding counties, go to www.maconblackpages.com and you can see that information, or you can call our office at 478-464-0074. This is A Call to Action. Thank you, Miss Amber Jones, JD.
Thank you for having me.